Here is a March 2021 layout update. The layout is basically a dog bone shape layout with a peninsula on one end. It represents either Pennsylvania Railroad in the 1950s or Conrail in the 1980s. There are numerous small scenes on the layout to give some visual appeal, especially near the edge of the layout, starting at one end with a little hobo camp. Then moving along, got a little camping scene with mom and pop set up with their little trailer. In this area are also two industries. One, a large scrapyard, which can take in scrap, send out baled scrap, and refurbished metal products. And there's also a substantial granary, bringing in occasional grain supplies for Farmers Supply, sending out grain in boxcars in the 1950s and hoppers in the 1980s. Continuing with an agricultural theme, I've got Cousin Jim out disking a field. Nearby is a tractor supply company and a feed and supply company that takes in boxcars and also sends out some boxcars and occasionally a covered hopper. And here we have a little farm scene. Horses, some pigs. Little pig got out in the sunflowers. My dad's old Hudson parked in the driveway. Apple orchard in the distance, and some beef cattle grazing in a pasture. Okay, in the foreground is a small engine facility. Mainly it's a place to park the locomotives. I consider the large maintenance facility to be off the layout. Got a caboose track. Since right now I'm running the 1950s, I've got a water tank there. That will be removed when it's the 1980s. And the New York Central boxcars parked at a small industry and warehouse, T.P. Anderson and Sons. I didn't want to put in a big engine service facility here. I did add a little garage-like structure so the road crew can store some items they need for light maintenance. The access to T.P. Anderson is off of a track which can be used as a reversing loop. In the back is a passing siding, which I also use as a location for an interchange and a modified staging yard. Also off the track, which could be a reverse loop, access to a small shipping depot, the barrel company, and an oil supply company. Next to this is a small yard, and I've actually extended the yard a little bit by adding a additional storage area, because when I added the peninsula earlier this year, I added extra rolling stock and needed the extra storage space. Coming out of the yard, we've got a little residential area with a gas station, a park where people are having a birthday party and playing in the park, and a little Marian shrine. And in the background is access to another industrial area, a cold storage area for produce and refrigerated cars, a warehouse, and a small brewery. While in the foreground, we've got a couple stores. Off this area of the loop is an access to an industrial area on my peninsula. The first two industrial areas receive either boxcars or coiled steel and produce various large machinery and electrical products. And behind them is a large grain mill. The grain mill has a couple of storage bins for receiving covered hoppers in the 1980s or boxcars in the 1950s, and then shipping either boxcars or covered hoppers in the 1980s. Also coming off this end of the loop, in addition to access to the industries, is a track that I use as both an interchange and a staging yard. And finally, off in the woods, we got a few deer. And that concludes this layout tour in March 2021.